Raylos, no Ray Nobodies, no Kyle Ron fans, no sequel trilogy apologists of any kind. They're trash. We all know it. They know it too. No High Republic defenders, no Pablo Hidalgo defenders. If you're caught here, you're gone. Anyway, so it's really interesting to me how we've got fans now questioning Jon Favreau. Why? Then I think, oh yeah, we've got a bunch of people who say they're Star Wars fans and are illiterate of the, hey Jeremy, and are illiterate of the lore, okay? And I hate saying that, but there are a lot. And a lot of them are the black pills. We all know who they are. Hey Chatkins, how y'all doing? Anyway, but they don't know Jon Favreau. They probably have never seen his movies. And I've been following his career for a long time. It's very interesting to me watching him as we do and seeing where he's gone with it. The first time I've ever heard of him was there's a movie called Swingers, and it's about a comedian who's not doing very well in LA. And oh, nothing much, Jonathan. And he breaks up with his girlfriend, or his girlfriend dumps him. And it's about how he is attempting to get past it. It's about a breakup from a guy's point of view. We never see the girl, which I think is great. Filming, I think he might have been inspired by Maris Crane in Frasier. Vince Vaughn is in it, and a few other guys that are well known now. No, I haven't, Jonathan. Let me finish. And I don't care about it. Okay. So anyway, it's a really good movie, and it's kind of funny, and it's different. It's very talky. Basically, Favreau's character is very depressed, and at first he's needy, and he doesn't know what he wants, and he wants to get over this girl. And it goes through the machinations of what a guy might go through in this situation. It's a pretty good movie. The second time I was aware of him was Iron Man, which is one of the few, which is, I think, the only MCU movie I like. Okay, because I just can't get into them. I don't like cotton candy. If I'm watching a movie, I've got to be able to get into it. And I've been told by people who are far more versed in these things than me that I'm too serious. And I go, there are too many illiterates. Film illiterates out there. Philistines, as it were. And I liked it. It was good. And then, but I want to tell you a story about him. Iron Man 2 came out to the not the applause of the critics. They didn't like it that much. It got basically mixed reviews. And Favreau, oh yeah, it was great. I mean, I know Planet Musk. Favreau didn't like it, having the movie being meddled with by the executives. And what I mean by them, Kevin Feige, probably Perlmutter, probably Iger, probably Alan Horn. And that came out, and then he directed Cowboys and Aliens, which was executive produced by Steven Spielberg, and it was a good movie. I liked it. It's science fiction and Western. So it's kind of cotton candy for the brain, but it's a fun movie to see, and it's not a comic book movie. And then we've got a movie called Chef. The thumbnail that I'm using is from that movie. Chef is about a very famous chef who's works at a restaurant, runs it, who's being hounded by the owner and being meddled with by the owner to just keep doing what they do all the time. He tells the owner we're in a rut. Owner says, I don't care, we do what we do best when this critic arrives. So they do it, and the critic starts out saying it was great, and then he was like, this is uninspired food, la la la. People that actually, oh yeah, Jeremy, people who work in that line, the high-end food business, the foodie business, the restaurateurs, fine dining, expect the unexpected. Let's put it this way. They will eat anything. The chef has to be constantly on his toes to create new things and different things, okay? You know, all of them. I mean, you look at him, Thomas Keller, Skip, or was it Bayless? The guy that, the white guy who does Mexican food, his last name's Bayless. You know, Guy Fieri. I mean, he has to do that too. Do the unexpected. So if you've got some arrogant critic showing up, he can't give you a bad review, okay? So what happens is this other critic shows up, and Jon Favreau's Carl Casper creates this menu, and it's beautiful. Owner comes in and says, we're gonna feed him what we always do. Again. Owner didn't care about that last review, okay? Favreau gets pissed and leaves a sous chef to be the number two, to take over. It bombs historically. Favreau goes back to his apartment, and I'm looking at what he's making, and it's like, do I have a seat? Can I have some? I mean, it is beautiful. The guy can cook. I think he probably made all that. He can cook. And gets a phone call from his girlfriend / the sommelier, the wine person that's played by Scarlett Johansson, that it's bombing historically and you're getting blamed. He's like, I'm coming over right now, and he's furious. Here's the deal. I think Jon Favreau probably has a temper. And I think sometimes people who are higher up get to see it, okay? So he goes in there, storms in, and calls Oliver Platt every name under the sun, screams at him, and then quits. He had quit before, quit for real. So he goes to Miami to be with his son and his ex-wife, and they get a food truck. And the rest of the movie is them, the son and him, traveling, and the friend played by one of my least favorite people, John Leguizamo, traveling down the highway, going from Florida, Miami, all the way up Florida, probably the way I drove from Tampa to Carlsbad, California, when we moved to California. We did a do-it-yourself move. Put all of our furniture on a moving truck, and then we just packed up the dog and left, okay? And went to San Diego County. The whole thing about him being meddled with in that movie, when you look at what happened with Iron Man, was allegory for Iron Man, okay? He understands that the customers want new. He wants to explore the things about whatever he's doing to the fullest. And Hollywood executives and in this case, restaurant owner played by Dustin Hoffman of all people, play it safe. They don't want to, and playing it safe is not good filmmaking. It's not good. It's not good fine dining. Okay, that's why you see things that when your eyes go like this, and it's like, really, what, I don't know if I want to eat that, and then you eat the poached baby octopus and it's good. Okay, you see a movie and characters that doing things that you didn't expect them to. That makes it good. Okay, so hey Maze, so that movie Chef was allegory about Favreau's experience with Marvel, and there was a kind of a parting of the ways there. Now, let's get ahead of ourselves. Let's go into 2018, right after Soylo, A Soy War Story bombed, and they announced they're not going to do any more anthology movies. Boba Fett, the movie is gone. Favreau says, I can fix this, please let me try. Iger says, why not? Now, I'm going to tell you this, I got a theory. That Bob Iger basically was the one that shut down Kathy before Chapek came along. Okay, because if you notice, they don't have anything and haven't had anything in the hopper as far as feature films for Star Wars, period. They don't, and haven't since Solo. Okay, well, The Rise of Skywalker, but that was already in production. Okay, since then, all right? That's a big thing, and you got to remember this when you're talking Kathy Kennedy. If she was so powerful and high and mighty, where are the feature films? Wait, Jon Favreau's now doing it. So Favreau creates The Mandalorian. Rumors lately have come out that The Mandalorian took a lot of Boba Fett's backstory that they were using for the movie and adapted it to The Mandalorian. Maybe The Mandalorian just should have been Boba Fett. Okay. And that's probably a reason why they did what they're doing right now with Boba Fett. So we get into season 2, and the biggest character, the fan favorite, is Gina Carano, or Saint Gina of Carano, who was never political before, but she starts getting political. And probably going against everything that she should have been doing. Okay? Endangering her position at Lucasfilm, because we all know who is still running it. Spring of 2021, March 2021, Friday, it was a Thursday night, it's announced by Deadline that Gina Carano, through sources at Lucasfilm, and they didn't go any higher than Lucasfilm. So when people scream that Disney's got to apologize, do you know actually the whole story? Why should Disney apologize for something they didn't do? Okay, please tell the black pills that. Okay, Disney had nothing to do with letting Gina Carano go. They didn't know it was happening. It happened, and then Iger, Chapek, and Favreau found out. Now, let's go to Jon Favreau's, I think, French temper. If you watch Chef, when he's berating Oliver Platt, I wouldn't want to be in the way of that. I wouldn't. I'm like, dude, you're going to have a heart attack. Chill out. Okay. He's roaring at him like a lion. So Doomcock's rumor that Favreau found out over a phone call and was screaming into the phone, how can she do this to me? Ben, what are you talking about? But we're not talking about this, so keep on topic, please, because you're getting me like off topic. So Favreau was pissed. Let me remind you what was going on while all that was going on. Book of Boba Fett started filming in November 2020 and didn't finish till June of 2021. Okay, so the whole time we get to February or March or whenever the Gina fiasco went down, and suddenly you've got Favreau and Filoni going, what the fuck do we do? Yeah, it probably was. Her yipping and yapping on Twitter was cover, I think, for that. There really was no reason to do it. And again, repeat after me. Disney did not fire her. She wasn't fired. It was put out there publicly that they wouldn't give her another contract. That's what those words said in Deadline. It didn't go above Lucasfilm. So it was Kennedy who did it. So you're watching the Book of Boba Fett, and in the first episode, we see the Cletonians at that moisture farm putting Huttese Ks, 2 of them on the house. Second episode, or third episode, we see another one in the village in Boba Fett's Sand People's village. Okay. What are people missing? And there are a lot of people, I think Doomcock thinks this too now. You might not like the Book of Boba Fett, but you also, if you're one of those fans, but you also forget them. Let's not talk about Saint Gina of Carano anymore. She was not fired from Lucasfilm. She was told, I'm going to slow this down. Maybe I should do it in crayon so people understand that she was not getting another contract. And her agents let her go. They can't fire people either. She could fire them. But for the Black Pills, watching the Book of Boba Fett is a very subversive fuck you to KK. You might not like it. Let's talk about that. We have to question Jon Favreau. I'm a moron. Exactly, Troy. And I call a lot of these people illiterates because they are. They've never watched Clone Wars. They've never read the EU. They're not curious enough to go look up videos by Geatleys or the Lore Master or Eckhart's Ladder, for Christ's sakes. You know, I don't know what they want. Oh yeah, I do know what they want. They want pre-Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. Not post-Return of the Jedi Boba Fett going through Sarlacc damage from being out in the elements without any medical help. Hi, buddy. Hi, Kojak. What are you doing? What do you got? Come here. Good boy. And they don't take that into consideration. And they sit there and scream it's not Star Wars. There's a great meme out there, and I put it up in the community page, of Boba Fett sitting on the throne. And then, not my Boba Fett, and underneath, him slamming into the Jabba's sail barge and going right into the Sarlacc pit. That is their Boba Fett. That is exactly who he was. Oh, Kojak is great. He's just hanging around. Come here, come on. Koji, come on. Oh, he's scratching himself. Okay. So why question Jon Favreau? Because you didn't get your precious man with no name bounty hunter. Well, you got him. It's Din Djarin. Okay. There's a great the Rick Worley videos about why the prequel trilogy is great is really good because it addresses illiteracy in the fandom. The fact that they're not well versed enough in movies to understand what they're seeing. And like here's the comparison. Well, that too, but also Mazarus, when you hear people say they didn't like it, and you ask them why, and they can't really understand. And that's true too. That's true too. And in the Clone Wars, he was a kid, and he basically got schooled by Aura Singh, and I think Cad Bane. Oh, I am. I mean, you know, these are the things I like that Disney's done. Rogue One, The Mandalorian, and Boba Fett. All right, and I quite like The Bad Batch. The rest, just take it out to the woodpile and set it on fire. Okay, that's it. That's it. But you gotta understand, these people don't know what they're watching. They don't know how. They don't know how to watch even a TV show. I mean, they don't know that a lot of this stuff is coming out. Well, look, Jeremy, the Vespas, let's call them what they are, swoop bikes. You go, with swoop bikes, they should have looked like they belonged in that part of the Star Wars universe. Well, actually, Joker voice, Din Djarin is a Mandalorian. He was adopted. So is Jango Fett. Jango Fett actually was the Mandalore. He inherited the throne, and the politics just drove him, and he was like, fuck this shit, and he was gone. And then he decided to be a bounty hunter. And then he ran into Dooku, and then he went with the Kaminoans, and they started creating the clone army, and Boba is the Alpha, which in Greek means first. Oh yeah. Hey JS. But they don't know what they're watching. Like, if you bring up the EU, you'll have EU fanatics screaming, it's not EU, blah, 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 screaming about the jetpack. It's like, then you show the picture of Han hitting the jetpack with that gaffy stick, and Boba Fett go flying into the sail barge and right into the Sarlacc pit. Okay, really? Just how well was that jetpack working after Solo did that? Probably not very well. Okay. He came up out of the sand. If you're so well versed in the lore, do you know how fucking big those things are? They're hundreds of yards, if not miles across. So him, in one of the many stomach chambers that they have, coming up through the sand is perfectly fine, okay? And the swoop bikes are probably a wrong choice. I wasn't a fan of that, even though I did like the blue one, but I also didn't hate it. It's not enough for me to go and stare, hey Baz, at it and complaining and whining about it. But my bitch is at people who haven't seen it and automatically hate it. The people who scream down with Disney. Why would you want Disney to go down? Why? First off, it's not. So fucking quit it, okay? Fucking quit it. Another thing. If Disney ever were to go away, Orlando, Florida would die, okay? Anaheim, California, well, California would get more and more like a third world country then. Would it not? All right. Stop wishing evil on people that didn't have. It's a nitpick, so stop it. Stop wishing ill on that country. Well, but Ben, that's what, I mean, what was that? Just a second, let me grab my computer because I want to read you something. Don't you dare be chewing on something, buddy bear. All right, I'm going to find something for you guys because I want to read this to you. Now, when you come to my channel, you're probably going to be surprised at the in-depth analysis of many things, including people's behavior. And the reason why is because I'm very well-versed in Greco-Roman history and mythology. And a lot of this stuff, oh, there's a horsey, is very pertinent to what we're talking about. There was a great, I don't know if you guys know who Friedrich Nietzsche was. But he said something when you look into an abyss, the abyss also looks into you. There was a beware, and there was another one too. Beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. For when you gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you. That is the problem that a lot of these bigger YouTube channels have. They have become what they hate. Okay? You've got to keep your eyes on what's important. Okay? You've got to be smart. Okay? Celebrate Rogue One. Celebrate The Mandalorian. Stop hating on the Book of Boba Fett. Okay? The Book of Boba Fett is suffering from the COVID restrictions, from Favreau and Filoni not being able to really concentrate on what they were doing with it because Gina, and trying to figure out what they were going to do with the Rangers of the New Republic, and the fact that because of the black pills and because of a certain channel, if they dare recast Saint Gina of Carano, they would be pilloried. Let me tell you something. The narrative has gotten away from them, which is too bad. The narrative has gone to people who really don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay? They have these huge channels, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. You know, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, you hear someone goes, we gotta frame the narrative, and, you know, screaming and shouting. Okay. Fine, scream and shout. This is the narrative for the fandom. Everything Disney does, no matter how good it is, we hate it. I don't either, Baz. I don't either. I mean, he was a sinister bad guy, and I hated him in the original trilogy, but we didn't know anything about him. And I think because the way the character looked, that people just went nuts over it for some reason. I'm like, wow, look at that armor. You know, I mean, this pen has as much personality, whatever. And the narrative with all this has gotten away from Favreau, Filoni, from Lucasfilm, the good guys, and from Disney on this. Okay, if they recast Gina, all hell will break loose, and I know, and we all know who to blame on that, Mr. No good will come of that. No good will come of that. No good will come of that, and I know that for sure. Okay. It is always that way. Okay. So they can't recast her without, you know, 3/4 of the fandom being stupid and freaking out. I mean, if they look again, there's no reason that the girl that played the female sand person warrior, the female Tusken Raider, couldn't take up the rifle of Cara Dune and go forward. There's no reason that she couldn't. Okay, I mean, but again, if they tried to do it, the usual suspects would freak out, and that's bullshit. Okay, we all know it's bullshit. There's the narrative now floats around a certain moment that Kennedy did something that was evil, and it was fucking evil, and we all know it, and got away with it. And it is really just, you're kind of like, why is this happening? And it's happening because, I think, because Disney didn't immediately jump publicly to defend Gina Carano, didn't immediately go into Lucasfilm and say, this is not happening, leave her alone. And now I know for sure that they know it was Pablo and the Toadies there that started that hashtag fire Gina Carano. When we hear what they wanted her to do an apology thing, well, she did get away with it. I mean, she, you know, they got away with it. There should have been repercussions that were out there that people. Pablo wasn't in the writer's room. Carrie Beck was. Okay. There should have been public repercussions for this. Bob Chapek should have come out there saying, Gina Carano is welcome back anytime she wants to come back. Disney and Lucasfilm look at her as being one of our best ambassadors for the brand. La, la, la. Okay, that would have been the first thing. Then you get public with the layoffs, the firings, and everything else. I mean, really, what more is needed? What more is needed than publicly getting rid I don't even know what you're talking about, so whatever. What they had to do was, and what was needed was to publicly clean Lucasfilm at that moment. Pablo Hidalgo insults Star Wars theory. I mean, today I was telling some. He's on Instagram because I went on Star Wars Direct and asked, why is he still there? After what he did to Star, that was the most egregious thing, going after the biggest YouTube channel for Star Wars. And I don't like Harrison Dula. I don't. And what you get, where was I? You get rid of these people publicly immediately after. I mean, what he did to Star Wars Theory was wrong. And this troll who didn't have any followers, had never left any posts anywhere on Instagram, suddenly shows up defending Pablo. And the moment I called him out as Pablo, he blocked me. Okay, so that fucker's on Instagram. Okay? That fucker's on Instagram. He is not an innocent. He is not an innocent. And I know the powers that be at Disney are quite aware of his online bullying tactics. Okay? But he should have been the first to go. And JPEG should have gone into Lucasfilm and said, the story group is being broken up. We're not doing this anymore. All right. So I don't get the point of the fans. You know, you got people who are, let's say, like, they're experts in comics. They don't talk comics, okay? They're experts in other things, but they've never actually done professional jobs. Like, been in a producer's room, been in a writer's room, you know, worked in finance, okay? There are nuances going on that we don't understand. And when Kennedy goes, and she is on her way out the door, if she isn't already, when Hidalgo goes, and he will, they won't have anything to talk about. They won't have anything to talk about. Let's wonder about this out loud. Well, will channels who built their whole reputation on hating The Last Jedi, after they found out everybody else hated it, what will they do? You know, that you can't, look, when I see my new subs coming in saying, I haven't been to these channels in a long, long time, because all they do is hate, there isn't any rationality. I mean, they talk about, you know, Boba Fett, gunslinger, blah, blah, blah. It's like, when was that in the OT? He followed Han and Leia to Bespin, got there before they did, told the Empire, and waited. Wow, I'm really shocked. He's right up there with, I don't know, Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. Okay, then the next time we see him, Han's stuck in carbonite, so he can't fight back. Okay. All right. You've got a blind Han Solo. Luke basically bests Fett. Jumps on the other sand skiff. Han takes that gaffy stick, hits Boba Fett in the jetpack. He goes flying into the sail barge and rolls into the Sarlacc pit. Wow. That's your Boba Fett. You get into the prequels, and his dad, who is a warrior, etc., but he still gets bested by Mace Windu and loses his head. Okay. Really? This is your big hero. This is why we're all crying. Din Djarin is probably the best Mandalorian character out there. Okay. Now, granted, we've got what the EU said about Fett, and we've got Tales from the Bounty Hunters. But even in Clone Wars, Fett was a kid. And Fett got Oh yeah. Um, and kind of got, you know, uh, uh, it just, and you're right. I mean, this character really wasn't that big of a deal. Okay? And I've said this before, I'll say this again. A healthy Han Solo in a gunfight with Boba Fett would have beaten him. Luke Skywalker crushed him. Wow. Really? Here's the bounty hunter you guys should be really wanting to look forward to. Cad Bane. Okay? Bane, even in The Bad Batch, was a badass. Okay, we saw him in action. Why are we getting him? This Boba Fett has been through a lot. And I take great insult. I take great insult at people using Dances with Wolves to describe what's going on with the Book of Boba Fett. No, it's not. It's a man called Horse. And if you've ever seen that movie, you'd understand. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, my thing is they make a big deal out of a character who wasn't really that big of a deal. Lucas made it so some of the bad guys were just human, and Boba Fett is human. He's suffering from probably chronic illness now from the Sarlacc, and because he's a clone. And I'm sorry to say this, but genetic engineering isn't exactly something we should all applaud. Okay, if it didn't come from God and it wasn't natural, then you know. But it's not. But to call it a man called Horse, to only nitpick on those bikes, to not take into consideration the COOF restrictions, the Gina fiasco that, oh, by the way, had she kept her mouth shut and kept her head down, she'd still be working there, okay? But I got a feeling she did it deliberately because she didn't want to do it anymore, you know? And, you know, I really think that they should do a public, we need Gina back thing and see what she does. Because if she tells them to fuck off, then everybody knows that she never wanted to do it anyway. Okay? And I don't appreciate people like that. I'm a loyal person. If I got a chance to write something for Jon Favreau for this, he gave me an opportunity, I would be eternally fucking grateful for that. All right? I would be eternally fucking grateful. And the reason why is this. This guy gave me a chance. You know, translated, none of us would know who Gina Carano was without Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Star Wars. None of us. No one would care. Okay, I am not an MMA fan. I think it's stupid. All right, you know, I'd rather go to the horse races. I'd rather, you know, go trap shooting or skeet shooting than watch two people beat the shit out of each other. And it's look, blood sports like that, are something human beings like to watch. And that's fine. It's a big deal. And they make a lot of money. But for me, I just can't get into it. And it's not because I don't. I mean, I used to watch boxing. I used to love watching Muhammad Ali when I was a little kid. I loved watching him. But there's something about MMA and UFC that is just, you know, kind of like, and I don't know why. It is what it is. I don't know why. I just don't get it. And when they said she was going to be in the show, I'm like, oh, okay. And she's an all right actress. I mean, she's not Meryl Streep, she's not Betty Davis, she's not Joan Crawford, she's not Lucille Ball. But, as far as that goes, I mean, that character is easily recast. But again, the narrative was lost, and now Favreau and Filoni are stuck. Okay, this is why we're probably getting a Bo-Katan movie, TV show. Because Rangers of the New Republic was so kind of glued and wrapped around Gina. I mean, she was getting a Disney show. And one of the biggest producers in Hollywood, Jon Favreau, wanted her for that. He picked her for that role for a reason. I would think you'd think twice about going on Twitter and saying anything. Okay? All right? I would think you would do that. And I still think I would not have a problem if they recast the role. All right? Because she's not all that great of an actress. I don't think she's that pretty, really. I think the reason why a lot of people in the black pill community like her so much is that she's like the opposite of Kennedy. All right? And she basically did prove that strong women were in Star Wars. It just wasn't that kind of strong woman, because those kind of women aren't strong. And I'm like, I just don't, she's their martyr. Okay, she's their martyr. And I'm sorry, but I'm named after the first martyr, so I don't see it. And they should. I mean, I think that they should give the character an ending so people can shut up about it. But again, by the time Disney realized what was going on with this, the die had already been cast, and the black pills, we all know who they are, ran with it. I was extremely angry. As a libertarian, I strongly believe in freedom of speech, but I also believe, as Charlie Daniels said, you can say whatever you want, but you're the one that's responsible for it. Okay? So sure, she can go on Twitter and say what she wants. But then she's making herself a target. Okay? Twitter isn't there for free speech. Twitter is a crack house for left-wing fascists, SJWs, radical LGBTQ, XYZ, FM, whatever. Well, you're right. And it's going to be very interesting because no one's thought of that yet. None of the black pills. None of them. And trust me, the EU people, you know who I'm talking about, will say, Jango Fett was never the Mandalore. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Okay? All right? And there's a reason why these people aren't allowed on my channel, because they can't have a debate. They can't talk about things. They can't admit when they're wrong. And it's another reason why Disney lost. Well, we don't really know if he's done that or not. Well, Carlos, I think the thing about it is this is a cutthroat business, and Joker voice, that might be true, but his father still was the Mandalore, so he does have a claim. And all you'd have to do is take the crate and there you go. Okay? All right. So, but he, you know, if you can't, here's the deal. If you're someone who doesn't like it and you're told, why don't, this is what happened here and this is canon and stuff, and you're like, well, I don't have any time for it. You weren't intellectually curious enough to go look this up. Okay? There were KOTOR references in the last one. People love KOTOR. Love it. Okay? So, why aren't these people, if they're such big Star Wars fans, well versed in the subject? You know, and why can't they see that Favreau and Filoni are telling Kennedy to fuck off in this show? They were, I mean, I'm gonna tell you something, Jon Favreau, when you watch the movie Chef, he goes off on Oliver Platt and he goes off on Dustin Hoffman. You don't want to be in the room with that. Okay? He has got a loud, loud temper. And that is a good thing, I think. Because that kind of passion gets people like Kennedy to shut up and listen, because I don't think she could do that. I think the only place she'd be scared shitless of that. Okay? She's too used to guys running around with their heads down. You know, I mean, and just watching the first 3 episodes, I'm like, holy fuck. This isn't about Boba Fett at all. This is about Lucasfilm. You know, you've got the Clitonians running around, you know, killing moisture farmers and beating Luke's old friends up. You've got them putting K's everywhere. You know, and my thing is, why can't they see it? And then I think because they don't know how to watch a show. They don't know the background. And they run to people who say they know the OT and they know the EU and they know the lore, and they're lied to because those people don't know it as well as the people saying, but it's good. All right. I think the EU fanatics are going to have to understand that they're not going to get their precious EU in its perfect bag, but they're going to see elements of it. And again, I'm going to say this. The author of The Courtship of Princess Leia just passed away. And I personally didn't like that book. There were good parts to it, but I didn't like it. First off, it was Han playing a game of sabacc and winning a planet. Okay. And that was like, okay. It happens to be full of Dathomiri and Night Sister witches and rancors. Leia acting like a ninny. Like that South Park episode where they were mocking the Florida recount. Flora, we're all waiting, make a decision. I don't know. That's not Leia. It's not Leia. She would have taken one look at Princess Older, looked at the Queen Mother, and then looked at the head of the Alderaanian Council and said, I'm already engaged. I'm not interested. Okay. All right. So I'm like, okay. This is not Leia. And that was another part I had a problem with. I mean, he'd come off that ship, as Older would, and Leia would be like, what the hell is that? You know, it just that her, not her, you know. Well, and that's the problem with the EU. My thing is, read Heir to the Empire, and I guess the Jedi Academy. This is what I would have done. She would have been, they would have tried to put her in a corner so the Aldranian people, refugees, had a planet to live on in the Hapes cluster, and I could have just seen her saying thanks but no thanks. And Han watching this from afar going and leaving, her catching up to him, and then instead of him kidnapping her, it was so stupid. That was so stupid. Them with Chewie just running away, taking off. All right. Leia rebelling against what people expected her to do. And I think that would have been a better story. All right. Because I think after hanging out with somebody like Han Solo and seeing the pressures that everybody had put on them by the Empire, the idea of being coerced into a marriage to a guy you don't know that is really not attractive to you, you know, fine, it's for the good of the people, but why do I have to give up my own life for that? Okay? Okay, Joker voice, I'll see you later. But it's, you know, that wasn't Leia. She wasn't compliant. Yeah, he kidnaps her. The Queen Mother gives Leia as a kind of like a gift for the arranged marriage, the gun of command, and Han takes it and stuns her with it and carries her back to the Falcon and takes off. It's like, I don't see that. I see her I see them running away together. Just like, fuck this shit, we're done. I'm not gonna do this. And I see that being a perfectly plausible, logical solution. All right? You know, running into some of Han's old enemies, maybe running into Lando somewhere, and just trying to keep out of people's way. And Luke trying to find her so he can tell her, hey, they're backing off. They've rescinded their asking or whatever, their bond or whatever you call it of marriage. Maybe it's so older you being pissed off thinking that he got screwed over and looking for him, you know? And that would have been a better story. But I don't see Leia being compliant in this instance. That was a bad part of it. Okay, now I know there are EU people saying, it was EU, it was infallible, therefore you must love it. That's the only Star Wars there is. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because that really wasn't a great story. There were good parts to it. Anytime you see Han in a bar playing sabacc with people is a fun time. All right. But I didn't like the ninny that Leia was. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Let's see what else. So my thing is, for the black pills out there, because I gotta go because I've been on for an hour, you guys gotta start looking at this show as being the Boba Fett that survived the Sarlacc and the Dune Sea, okay? Stop making it about the one that rolled into the Sarlacc pit. Well, it's when I see people saying it still ends at the ST, where do you see that? Where? There's no mention of the Republic. There's no mention of the Imperial Remnant at all. And I have yet to see anything that has to do with the Aftermath novels, which they're retconning. These shows are retconning the shit out of the Aftermath. Well, you're a black pill, Mr. Dragon. Embrace it. And you obviously don't want to listen to anybody. And you don't want to be happy either. That's another thing, the black pills. And that's something that these bigger channels drive. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to be content with what you're getting. Even if it's good. Even if 90% of these guys haven't seen it. Why? Because they make a lot of money on this. Okay? In the moment Kennedy's gone and Pablo is publicly kicked off the team and Favreau takes over or whomever, the moment that happens, they don't have anything to talk about anymore. Okay? My thing is, you talk about what you know. I don't know a lot about the MCU because I don't like superhero movies. I think they've dumbed down movie watching, obviously, with the way the Book of Boba Fett's being treated. Okay? They've made a bunch of people illiterate when it comes to, and Philistines, when it comes to watching movies. Okay? If you're a comic book person, talk about comic books. Yeah, I would think some of these people would bring that up. You know? And then, then you've got the people who are so married to a group of books that weren't really that good. There is a divide over it. There is. I'm going to say something. And a lot of people aren't going to like it. But there are bigger channels than that out there driving the narrative. Okay? If those people would shut the hell up and let people like what they like, we wouldn't be hearing other people parroting what they're saying. This is insidious. Okay? All right. For example, one of the big channels. The guy who owns it walked out of TLJ and liked it. Then he got onto YouTube, looked around and saw everybody hated it. Then he changed his mind. That's a phony. I don't truck with that. Either you liked it or you didn't. And that movie was boom out of the gate. The moment you saw it, you hated it or liked it. Okay? The opening credits, you hated it or you liked it. You don't go back and go, well, I guess I'm going to have to hate it now because all these people hate it. Without knowing anything about Star Wars. Okay? Without knowing anything about Star Wars. Or you've never seen The Mandalorian, but you hate it. You've never seen The Book of Boba Fett. Come here, Kojak. Come here. But you hate it. And I don't get it. Yeah, of course they are, because they want to go on rag on it. I'm like, I don't understand this. That hotel is a joke. Well, and that's the thing, but when you're in it for money, filthy lucre, there you go. Yeah, and it's all about money. It's all, and that was about getting access to stars and directors for their show with Siskel and Ebert. Anyway, I gotta go. If I stepped on Black Pill's toes, I don't care. Okay? We're winning this fucking war. Kennedy is done. Star Wars isn't dead, and if you think so, fuck right off. Fuck right off. Okay? It is not dead. Alright? You can't kill a franchise. You can put it on the shelf for a while. I want to ask them a question. A world without being able to look forward to Star Wars. Do you like that world? Because we had it for 20 years. All we had were books and a cartoon. Well, they go after Cameron and it's like, if I was ever on a live stream with one of those guys and he said something about Cameron, I would probably go berserk. All right? I would probably go berserk. All right? I mean, you know, you can disagree with somebody, but being a fucking dick-headed, low-life, scum-sucking worm to do that without knowing the guy, just because he's not telling you what you want to hear, and just because he actually is literate and you're not. Anyway, I gotta go. I probably pissed off a bunch of people and I really have no fucks to give. Okay. See you around the galaxy, and remember, the Book of Boba Fett is allegory for what's going on at Lucasfilm right now. And it's Jon Favreau's way of telling her to fuck off. Okay? See you around the galaxy.